Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast, brought to you by Join Cycling, the #1 adaptive training platform for your cycling training. This is the TT. Speaking of time, training, and optimization, the all-important second time trial, stage 14, from Castiglione delle Stiviere to Desenzano del Garda to the Lake Garda, 31.2 kilometers. Very long TTs in this Giro. I quite like it, and it's a little bit hilly at the start, mostly flat. The winner would be 52 to 54 kilometers an hour average, and there's 2 intermediate time checks. One about 9 minutes in after the slow uphill zone, 7.5 k's in. Then the second intermediate is at Torre di San Martino, 22.5 kilometers in, about 8.5 k's from the finish. Ganna was the favourite for the TT. Sheffield was second favourite. Aronsman third favourite. Pog, I think, was fourth favourite. I don't know when these people will learn. Yeah, I know. You don't
I
know
didn't
who
see that beforehand. I had Ganna first, Pogacar second.
Yeah, but people they think Pog's a climber, so he can't ride fast on the flat. But anyway,
you gotta do the same kind of watts, mate.
Yeah. Any news before the stage, Benji, today?
Well, Phil Bauhaus is out of the Giro d'Italia. He DNS'd, and they didn't even really lie in their press release. They said that the next week doesn't really fit him too much, so he's dipping out, which I think, despite there being 2 opportunities for the sprint, is a wise decision, knowing that he's on the roster for the Tour de France as well. So Bauhaus is doing the Giro Tour double, which actually makes sense considering their team roster of the year, right? Because like Tiberi is the GC candidate for this race. Then we look at the Tour de France, we've got the likes of Bilbao, but Landa's basically gone there. So you got a combination with a potential sprinter there in Bauhaus. I dig that idea.
I think so, because there's some really traditional sprint stages in the Tour in the first 10 days, like around Dijon and stuff, where you need a pure sprinter, and if you don't have one, you have no chance of winning.
Is that a mustard brand?
Dijon mustard. It's a type of mustard, yeah. I like it. I have it quite often.
Cool.
Yep. It is pretty cool, actually. Anyway, time splits. We see Filippo Ganna going off as the more serious guys. He's going to set the provisional. We know that 2-3 hours before the GC guys. Yeah. Okay, there's Foss, there's Bjerg, Fini. They're not going to really trouble the scorers for the podium in the end. But we're seeing Ganna's time relative to them, and he averages 48.5 to the first intermediate, so it is a bit slower, and then 35 minutes total for this 31.5k TT. So his T2 to the finish is 58 kilometers an hour average, so super fast on the last 10 minutes, and he got progressively quicker. So that was interesting to bear in mind, that it does look like it's a flat TT, but it is in 2 parts. That the first, it gets progressively quicker, which in theory should suit the 80 kilo plus rider as against the GC guys. I mean, it looked like a good time, Benji, because I was like 53.5 km an hour average. There is some elevation. It looked really, really good that time.
I think so as well, and it was indeed in parts, because at T1 only like, what was it, 14 seconds faster on the previous best time, which I think was Affini at that point. I was thinking, okay, that's not the greatest start, but maybe it's because it's that first spot. So then I look at T2, the second time check, and Ganna had just exploded the gap towards everybody else by then. So at that point, I was like, okay, he's going to set a good time. That first time, we got to keep in mind for who comes later, that maybe a climber might set a decent time that gets close to that or past that, and then we might see that deteriorate in the later part. But it was a good time at the end. At the end, I was thinking, okay, I think Ganna wins this TT. But then again, I've had those ideas a few times in my life where Ganna eventually ends up being beaten by someone rather unexpected or expectedly.
And so at this point, we see then we're waiting, basically. There's like Tratnik's journey, Sutherland's going off, nothing too much happening, to be honest. And the next serious guy to go, who's not in GC, who might actually podium this TT, was Magnus Sheffield. Now, I was watching this on the trainer. I did a little double day today, and I'm back. I finished the Fabio Jakobsen sprint training plan.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to rename that Patrick Broe sprint training plan.
About
actually.
that. should I consider also at some point doing the Fabio Jakobsen sprint plan? Because today I had 1250 peak power during my sprint, and I can do 1150 to 1200 for 10 seconds. So if I actually train, that's seated power, eh? Because I don't dare to sprint out of the cell yet. So with the Fabio Jakobsen sprint plan, do you see that going forward?
Yeah. Have you got a power meter on your outdoor bike?
Yes.
Yeah. It would get better, particularly the 10 to 15 second one. The 5 seconds is a little bit more natural, or like how much strength you have, but the longer duration sprints, yeah, especially repeated sprints. But to be honest, it was actually a good plan for general fitness as well.
Yeah.
You're not doing like 10 5-second sprints
And
5 times a week.
That's also important, because if I want to do some kind of like a longer event, I want to do a sprint at the end, I need that endurance, and that's what that plan also brings.
Yeah, it was good. My sprint went up definitely 10, 15 seconds all-time records, but now I'm on the stamina builder plan for summer. That's like a 3-month plan, which I'm starting with, which has just like a mixture all around like endurance. The idea is to be riding longer hours, I think, more than really intensity. But I already started that and did some for, I think, 8 1-minute efforts today on the trainer watching Sheffield. So if you want to check out Join Cycling, use our special link down below for 30-day free trial. There's a plan for everybody, whatever your fitness goals or cycling goals may be.
I will say, during that effort, I believe that your heart rate probably went up a few times, because when Sheffield was cornering, I was bloody terrified. This man was putting his life on the line in corners where he was pushing over the limit at certain points.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Throughout the first half of this TT, I was like, if he doesn't crash, this is going to be a miracle. And how did it end up?
He eventually crashed. And he was really impressive. At T1, he's third. He's 5 seconds behind Ganna at T1. At T2, he's still third. Like 19 seconds, was he behind Ganna? Or was he quick? No, more. Sorry, more. He lost like 40 seconds. Anyway, I can't do maths. But he's doing a good TT. He's in third. And that's third, including some GC riders later. I think it was second at the time. But there was a left-right chicane, Benji. I swear he nearly crashed early in the TT. The tight left-right chicane, even Pog went quite... And Tiberi missed the corner.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, he's going to crash if he continues like this, and he eventually crashes. And I don't know how many TTs he crashed in. Tirreno. And did he crash in Worlds? I can't remember.
Worlds,
was that Hater?
But it wasn't last year, I think. 2 years ago in Worlds, I think Hater crashed.
He just... Yeah. I don't know what to say,
also,
really.
It's not just in time trials, eh? During Tirreno, didn't he crash like 3-4 times?
Yeah.
And like, I bet a few of those were probably just someone crashing in front of him. But if it's so much, you tend to think he either takes too many risks or sometimes inattentive. I don't know what it is, but there must be something that he can still tweak that might make him crash less.
You surprised he's going for it today?
No.
But he can't beat Ganna.
I might as well try.
Okay, fair enough. But that's the point. Yeah,
you can podium a Giro time trial. Realistically, you can go for it.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe it's for Olympic selection. McNulty won US Nationals TT, so he got his Olympics ticket. But the thing is, Ganna's got more watts, so he had to take more risks. Sheffield eventually didn't work out for him. And now we see the GC guys going, and we see Pogacar going against Ganna at T1. Pogacar's 4 seconds up on Ganna. We see Ganna, he's bricking it in the chair. He's petrified in the chair. He thinks he's going to lose at that point. And then it all changes. Pogacar from T1 to T2 loses 14 seconds and then is 10 seconds behind Ganna at T2. And what we expected to happen would happen in the faster sections. Ganna, his big absolute power really paid off. He was 2 kilometers an hour quicker than Pogacar from T2 to the finish, putting 19 seconds into him, winning the TT Filippo Ganna 35.02, 29 seconds ahead of Tadej Pogacar, and 1:07 ahead of his teammate Thymen Arensman, his other teammate Geraint Thomas on 1:14, and then there's the rest of like 3rd to 13th are all in the 51 kilometers an hour average. Poggy's 52.7, and then Ganna with a big gap then, like a whole kilometer an hour quicker than Arensman, and then Ganna's like almost another 0.8 kilometers an hour quicker than Poggy. So Ganna really, really flying today.
But I do want to say, yes, Ganna on paper in the after T1 to the finish line was destined to be faster on the flats, on the straight, stuff like that, the pure what stuff. But I also low-key had a feeling that in some of the descendy parts, Ganna took more risks than Poggy did, which I think is logical.
Yes, it is.
Because Pogacar, when it comes to GC, he can afford to lose 3 to 5 seconds in some descent corners, whatever's, compared to other GC competitors that might need to gas it full, because his biggest risk to losing this race right now is crashing out. It's not some magical competitor. I read a Gasparotto article the other day that Pogacar is very, very feared of Daniel Felipe Martinez after this time trial. I don't think that's going to be the case, but before, I don't think that was the case either. So I think the biggest risk is and will remain crashing out of this race for Pogacar, and I hope it doesn't happen. But outside of that, let's take a look at the other riders for a second. Because
did you know Ganna hadn't won a Giro TT since 2021? For some reason in my mind, I thought he just won one every year.
Did he do the Giro in 2020? I don't think he did, right?
Last year he did. Right? He came second behind the Shepdal Scud in TT number 1.
But the year before, I think he just did the Tour because it started in Copenhagen, right? Yes, he could. Because he could potentially get the yellow jersey on day 1, which I think that's a logical reason. Yeah, it kind of shocks me that he hasn't won a Giro TT in the... Isn't he also the rider in this race with the most Giro stage wins?
I don't know.
I think he is.
Maybe not for long, depending on how this second, third week goes. But yeah, the GC guys. Plapp 118. Tiberi 119. Very good TT. O'Connor 125. Now there's a gap. So what about those guys there, Benji? Thomas, Arensman, Tiberi, O'Connor. Really tight gaps. From G to O'Connor's only 11 seconds.
And I feel like when it comes to those riders in that category, first of all, I will say, Plapp, a TT that I like, he has had good TTs in the past, but in the running to this Giro, his TTs weren't good. Roman TTs weren't good. He hadn't been on the bike for a while when it comes to actual racing, directly into that prologue. Maybe not the best moment to go all out yet. But I wasn't expecting him to top 5 this TT, to be honest. Top 10, sure. But 15 this time trial is a really strong performance. And when it comes to GC riders, O'Connor lost time in the previous time trial because of a mechanical.
Yeah.
He set roughly between 20 and 30 seconds. Considering that, I expected a solid TT for him, but losing 125 to Ganna, only losing roughly 55 seconds, if my math is correct, to Pogacar, staying around all the others. That's what you need to be a GC rider. That's something that in the past may have been a vulnerability every now and then for O'Connor, and definitely for other riders like Landa, for example, in GC. But this will improve O'Connor's chances to podium a Grand Tour, if it isn't this one, significantly. And he's on the market as well, I'm pretty sure. So I'm curious which team will pick him up for next season, whether he stays at Decathlon or not. We can have a little discussion about that later if you want to. But Tiberi, also a really strong performance. And I was thinking, without the Europa Mechanical, this guy's already on the podium, right?
Yeah. Oh, very close. I can't remember how much time he lost.
Lost 2 minutes on the second group on Europa.
The mechanical cost him 2 minutes.
Well, yeah.
Jesus. That's bad.
Yeah. I think he agrees with you.
We'll see tomorrow. We'll see tomorrow if it was all the mechanical. But yeah, he and O'Connor have had some bad luck. Arensman, how much time did he lose on stage 1 and 2? Like 4 minutes or something. And Danny Martinez has been very consistent. He's not really had even at T1, Martinez was 17th at T1. It wasn't looking good. He was one of the only top GC guys over 10 minutes at T1, and he really brought it back, actually. It's a very strange pacing plan to have for such a slight rider, Benji.
Yeah.
Martinez went from T2 to the finish quicker than Thomas. Not by much, but a second quicker than Thomas. And he's got to be 3-4 kilos at least lighter. You'd think maybe they didn't want to blow up, and maybe, I don't know, but it seems they did the same pacing plan as the Hilly TT But here, the harder bit was at the start.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, either it comes from a fear of exploding, that you base it a bit lower in the first two parts, or it could also be literally that he had a pacing plan and suddenly felt like he could do more in the last spot than his pacing plan was. Then again, I felt like his time at T1 and T2 was under what I was expecting from Martinez. I was like, okay, this guy's having a bit of a met time trial for his standards.
That's what I thought too.
Like, we don't have many data points when it comes to Martinez flat time trials, but I wasn't expecting a bit more at T1 and T2. So T2 to finish was kind of just better than I was expecting. So I don't know whether it's the human part of, okay, I wasn't feeling too good at the start of the time trial, but then eventually got into my rhythm. That's also a possibility. But I'm glad for Martinez that his final time looked a lot better than T2 and T1.
Yeah, he keeps it a lot closer. It even looked like, if he really blows up and has a shocker, O'Connor's going to be knocking at the door for the podium.
Yep.
Okay, let's have a look then at... So, yeah, what about G's time, Benji? It's much better than his first TT. He finishes 4th in the end, but still 7 seconds behind teammate Arensman. I don't know. He's a TT first defensive rider, but he's not gaining all the time in the TTs, although he does move into second.
Very true. It's very different from, for example, if you look at last year's Giro d'Italia, if we discount Remco in those time trials, he was gaining time on the likes of Roglic through the time trials. Like, in this race, he's roughly on par with all the other GC riders. And if we take a look at the last time trial, it just wasn't that good because he exploded at the end. Then his initial flat times in that time trial also weren't that great. So on the one end, I'm happy to see that he performed better than in the first time trial, but it's still not at the point where I expect Thomas to be in a flat time trial. So am I slightly worried for the climbs that are to come?
I am.
Maybe not directly, but it doesn't shine me with ultra confidence either.
Well, yeah, like if you're thinking, okay, is he around the same weight as Arensman, for example? Then he's pushing this. I know that this is not true because of aero differences or whatever, but like, let's say roughshod, he's pushing the same watts as Arensman in a 35-minute all-out effort. And generally speaking, we wouldn't say Arensman is going to kill everyone in week 3. Or so I know road racing is completely different to the TT. I understand that, but I don't know. I would expect him actually to be, if he was really going to be killing Martinez and O'Connor, to be nearer to Poggy's time actually, or just maybe under 36 minutes.
I get that. And like you said, road racing is different from TT because let's be honest, a TT, you've got your lead up, your warm up for the time trial. You jump on the bike and you do the effort. In a road race, you might have to do 3 climbs before you get to the final climb. Tomorrow it's like 2 climbs or something, or we'll get into that parkour later. But there's gonna be some efforts done before you get to that final climb, and maybe I do trust Thomas more in that aspect than an Ardens one, maybe. So it's. I don't know. I can't conclude anything yet. I think I'll make my conclusions after the fact tomorrow, in hindsight, because that's more fun. But about Thomas, just in general, I'm happy that he did better than the last TT, and I hope that his level, like, I expected his level to go better and better during the Grand Tour, and I still think that's going to be the case in the next week, that he will gradually get a bit more consistent, if that. Like, he hasn't been super inconsistent just outside of the first time trial, but
in the road stages, he's been the most consistent.
Yeah.
Apart from Danny, maybe.
Yeah.
That's why he's there in second on GC.
Exactly.
Connor had lost that time on a rope because he followed Pogacar. Arensman lost, all that time on 1 and 2. But okay, let's look at some of the guys in the top 10. Filippo Zana, 24th, 232. I would say respectable. And TT for someone like that. Baudin 247, again respectable. And then we go down. Fortunato 350, Rubio 406, Fanpe 423.
Hit?
Where's Hit?
Oof. In the shadow
413. 4 minutes, 413. Pozzovivo 506. Who else is a GC rider?
Store,
What did he do?
he did better than Hirt. That's all I know.
Stora 315. Not as a not horrendous. It's not 5 minutes.
Did you mention Baudet?
Yeah, he's on 247 or something. So he actually, so the revised GC Pogacar is on 50 hours and 9 seconds, and he's 341 ahead of G. So it's done. If it was not done before, it's done now.
Yeah.
I'll word on that in a second. Martinez drops down into third, 15 seconds behind G. Bok stays in fourth on 435, but inches a bit closer to Martinez.
Yeah.
And Tiberi inches a little bit, or maybe very small towards him. He's on 517 in fifth. Aronsman moves up 4 spots into sixth, as we said he would, on 630, but with a bigger gap than even I thought. 54 seconds, or maybe 56 seconds ahead of Bardet. I forgot to say Bardet's time. What did he do? 324, not great. Bardet into, Zana 7th, 726, Bardet 8th, 752, Fortunato 9th, 840, Baudin 10th, 856, Rubio drops to 11th, 905, Stora 911, in 12th, Jan Hirt 941. So actually, the top 10 is still pretty open in GC. I think AG2R Benji will not. They will prioritize getting O'Connor on the podium. If Baudin has to pull and crack himself, they will do it like that.
Yeah, I believe so as well. And especially because if we take a look specifically at the white jersey, the gap from Tiberi towards Baudin is now 339. So I think they might consider him like one of the last options to start helping O'Connor, but he's still going to help O'Connor because he did it as well in the last mountain.
He did it,
the last mountain stage in Boca della Selva. It wasn't a 2-kilometer pull, but it was towards the finish line. Pulled it properly. O'Connor could attack from the wheel, and that's the stuff you can see and you can expect, I think, from Baudin. I think they're going to use Baudin wisely for O'Connor, and I think that's the right play to do so. It's also, we've got the gaps. Let's talk about the gaps for a second. Aronsman moving up to 6th on 630. And then we've got Zana, Bardet, Fortunato, Baudin, Rubio, Store, Hirt. And that's about it, in my opinion, when it comes to the opportunities for the top 10. Maybe Pozzovivo still, but it's going to be a bit more difficult. He's on 12 minutes now. So, but the guys before that, the guys I mentioned, those are going to be the guys we see to try to get in the breakaway tomorrow on all the mountain stage, to try and take 7 minutes in breakaway stage. And for example, in the non-Stelvio stage, the Umbral Pass, I just ruined that climb name. Those are the guys we're going to try and see get in the breakaway and take minutes to get into the top 10, secure their position in there. And is it a worse position to be in, being 7th as Zana on 726 than Jan Hirt on 941 on 13th, for example?
To get in the break, definitely, because there is just no way Bahrain will let Zana in the break. He's in the white. He's only 209 behind the white jersey.
Yeah.
And Aronson's 113 behind the white jersey, Baudin 339. And
Hirt's old.
Yeah, and he don't qualify for it. So he's got much more of a chance, as well as Bardet, as well as Fortunato, as well as... Is Rubio too old? Yeah, he's too old for it. So that's a problem for Zana and Aronsman. Even without the white jersey considerations, I'm not sure the others would be too happy with them getting in the break. In terms of Pogacar's lead, it's like, even if he does crack, he's not going to lose 340. Like, he cracked against Thomas on the Grenal, or against Vingegaard on Grenal, and what, he lose a minute to him? A minute 30 to Thomas? So, and that's after, like, getting, everyone throwing haymakers at each other for 2 hours.
And, like, I saw this article this morning from Zach Dempster, the Ineos DS, talking to GCN, and one of the sentences he said was, we're waiting for, or we're hoping and waiting for Pogacar to make a mistake. On one end, they've every now and then tried to throw a haymaker, in the sense like on the echelons yesterday in the flat stage, could have done something, it didn't. And when it comes to Thomas's attack on stage 1, for example, that was something a bit more spicy. but that's very minimal. You need to do more in the coming week and a half if you even want to put pressure on Pogacar to make a mistake, because he's not going to make that mistake by himself. You need to force him in a situation where he can make mistakes because they have to choose in the team car, whether it's a team car of UAE or Pogacar himself. But on the other hand, 341, isn't this the moment where you say, let's try and make sure Thomas gets second and Arensman top 5?
Yeah, we'll probably see that tomorrow morning, Benji, for stage 15. We'll really see. There's, everyone's been talking. Okay, we're not giving up. Broe, we're not here to. We're here to put pressure on Pog. Well, okay, let's go.
Did Broe say that, or?
Well,
oh yeah, Broe did.
They did the thing about Poggy's shitting himself. I'd be shitting
myself. Did you see the Thomas thing where he was talking about Bora, who paced in 2 stages
Bahrain.
ago? Yeah, about Bahrain, sorry. So Thomas was saying about Bahrain, they're already riding for the podium, stuff like that.
Isn't Tiberi the only guy outside of Pog that's attacked on a road stage yet?
He's the only guy that's done something.
No,
and obviously
he was attacking Kian, admittedly, but like...
And obviously, Tiberi's going to defend his white jersey and a potential top 5 at the Giro, mate. Like,
but they're not saying anything different. If you ask Tiberi in interview, what do you want from this Giro? He'd be like, white jersey and maybe podium.
Yeah.
He's not hiding it.
His competition is not Pogacar. His competition is his direct competition for white and for the top 5.
He's on 5:17.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do? Well, you can do stuff, I guess. But tomorrow, stage 15. I will say, we haven't seen... We're 14 stages down. We haven't seen a serious stage yet.
Yeah.
Europa, not a serious stage.
Correct.
The Prati de Tivo, not very difficult either. This is a serious stage. Okay, is it the hardest? Is it the best we would have wanted? Maybe not, but it's 222 kilometers long, starting in Minerva del Garda, around the western side of the lake. And then we go all the way up to Livigno, and we start with the Lodrino, 7Ks, 4.5% in the first 30Ks, and the Colle di San Zeno, 13.7K, 6.5%. Now there's Cat 3, Cat 2, and then we got 3 Cat 1s after, so Simon Geschke, he'll be trying to get in the break. Then there's a valley as they head up the highway north of about 60Ks before they hit the Passo del Montirolo, the quote-unquote easy side, but it's still got some steep sections in there. They then descend the normal side of the Mortarolo, if I'm not mistaken, Benji.
I think so.
So that's quite technical and steep. Then there's another 30Ks of false flat uphill with a 3K, 7.5% climb. Then the Passo di Foscagno, which is 14.6K, 6.3% up to, I don't know what altitude, over 2,000 meters, over 2,200 meters actually, nearly 2,300. But it's not that difficult really, like 6%. And then short descent, and then 4.6K, 7.5% up the Motolino, which the last 2.5Ks, that's actually a wall to 2,400 meters just about. So high altitude on 2 occasions, some steep sections, but there is no Granon here, there is no lows here, there is nothing like that, but it is a very, very hard stage.
I think so as well, and it's going to be curious. It's also a very long stage, which makes it a little bit harder. What's right?
We don't see so often a stage like this.
Exactly, and I think that's an extra factor because you also got to think about breakaway control. Breakaway, in my opinion, will form in the first 65 kilometers because we've got 2 climbs in there where breakaway action can happen. 25 kilometers of basically flat terrain, which could cause some rollers to go up the road before we see the actual break form on those climbs. Then the question is, will UAE control a 222 kilometer stage?
No.
So I reckon...
That would be insane.
I reckon break wins tomorrow.
You don't think Ineos will pace?
Like...
They have to, Benji.
That's what...
They have
to. For example, if we take a look at the last 2 Tour de France's, what Visma does is make the stages harder in the hope that it eventually pays off when it comes to Pogacar having more kilojoules in his body. That's a weird way to say it. And therefore, it hits him at a later phase, maybe on a last hard effort, on a long effort at the end of a stage, or with multiple stages like that following each other up, that it eventually pays off. And we've seen that on Queen stages. And that's indeed the strategy on paper. But
if you don't try tomorrow, you accept you lose.
yeah, but haven't you done that already?
Not really, to be honest. Ineos haven't done too much, not whether because the stages haven't been like that. I mean, 5,700 meters elevation gain, 222
That's a
k's.
lot.
We are in uncharted territory, and yes, they're not the Motorola is still steep, like 7.5% for 13 k's.
Yeah, but where do you start pacing?
From the fucking gun.
So you're pacing up every climb, hard pacing.
Breakaway doesn't exist.
Flat,
breakaway doesn't exist.
On the flat, do you do anything there? The big valley between San Zeno and Mortirolo.
Ben Swift can do 275 watts in the valley.
That's fair. But during break formation, you might not have Ben Swift directly after that San Zeno climb.
Yeah, but Visma weren't pacing with Sepp Kuss at the start of Col de la Loze. It was Christophe Laporte.
It's also, you can also bet on the fact that UAE will have to put efforts into the first two climbs to try and control the group that gets away, which means that you don't have to do the pacing on the first two climbs. The breakaway attacks will do that for you.
Or you could jump with Arensman. Then you're guaranteed it's going to be hard for everybody because it'll kick off.
Exactly. I've been wanting Arensman to jump in breakaways for a while. He said after the, was it Prata di Tifo stage that he tried to go in the breakaway, but he said that the second he had his ass out of his saddle that people were shouting, "Oh, Arensman's attacking."
Okay, so yeah, he tried for 2 pedal strokes.
Yeah, that's the thing. There was a moment with UAE only having 2 riders there where it's those moments you got to retry.
So with Arensman, right?
Yeah.
You either try and get him in the break to make the stage nuclear. The problem with trying to get Arensman in the break is that doesn't hurt UAE because there's going to be a full Bahrain team and a decathlon team chasing him. That's problem number 1. But you can try it. 2, you can use him to pace Foscagno full gas after you've already paced the stage full gas.
Yeah, but they're not going to use Arensman as domestique to pull that off because he's riding for his own GC as well.
No, come on.
Yeah, it's like, look at the race. They're riding with Arensman as co-leader and not as last domestique, in my opinion. So that's why I think the breakaway one is the one they might go for, and they won't be pacing Foscagno with Arensman, in my opinion.
Why not?
I want to see it too. I want to see people put the fire to Pogacar and try and pull the race upside down. I just don't see them do it.
Well,
not in that way.
Maybe Bahrain do it. I mean, Bahrain probably pace pretty hard tomorrow regardless. I think Tiberi feels it. He feels like he's really coming to the race. I think Bahrain, but I mean, look at
it's also uncharted territory for Tiberi.
It is. That's why I like the Swifts, Sheffield, Narvaez, Ganna, Foss, Arensman, right?
Yeah.
None of them have... Okay, Chef crashed today. That's unfortunate. Hopefully he's fine. But like, all of them are in good shape. Foss did a good TT today. Ganna won today. Ineos can make that stage tomorrow with those rouleurs. A lot of them climb very well, very fucking hard. So they did in Romandy and cracked Ayuso. I think you have to try. Otherwise, at least try. Okay, so if Poggy drops you again, so what?
Another question. You're Arensman. I'm Zach
out of
Dempster.
Contract.
Yep, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm telling you, okay, you're on Foscagno, you got to pace all out and risk your GC. For Thomas, you're out of contract, you're 16 GC. If I'm Arensman, I'm not doing it.
I'd say that's fine, Zach, but I need you to get Jim to fly to Livigno for Monday morning, and we're going to be signing something. Nice 3-year extension first.
It's not that simple, eh?
That's very cynical, though. But
what?
Like what I said, but it's kind of true. It's like
it's true. Like
you're young, you're knocking on the door of top 5 white jersey, like, and you're out of contract. I don't know. They might have already extended him, Benji.
Potentially.
In which case this conversation's moot. But
I doubt it because we just
they would have announced it.
We just saw rumors. Also on GCN by Benson again that Tarling's extension hasn't really moved forward yet. So Tarling is the one that they'd go for first.
But he's not out of contract.
Is he not? Oh, okay.
No. He
Okay.
just wants
That makes sense.
He just wants the early extension, I think.
That's
Um,
fair. That evokes my entire point.
But no, but they announced Sheffield's extension already.
Yeah. Okay.
So if it had been extended, you would expect it. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. What about Bora, Benji? They don't really have the team to do it, frankly. I think they'll just be defending and then seeing what Martinez can do. Decathlon, they got the PP brothers who are flying Baudin. They can really do something too. I think they'll wait and see what O'Connor can do on Foscagno. And I think the two teams that might take it up are Ineos and Bahrain initially.
APP, VPP, there might be a guy in the breakaway of those two. Like I feel like it's that vibe kind of stage where
I put APP in the break because he ain't as good a climber.
Yeah,
Satellite rider, and then get VPP to do his launch.
You can do both.
Both in the break. PP break.
Yeah.
All right. So you think break's winning?
Yeah.
Who you got?
Jesus, I should have looked up when I said, "Oh, the break's gonna win." Who I actually think is going to win from the breakaway. Because like we haven't spoken about which riders in the top 15 we do expect to go in the breakaway.
Jan
like
Hirt's winning.
Storer?
Jan Hirt.
This is a Jan Hirt kind of stage, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to go for... I can't go for Jan Hirt now. I'm going to go for...
Nairo.
I like Michael Storer for this.
Okay, I agree with Storer.
Do I?
Nairo Man will be there as well. We're getting into the 2,000 meter plus zone.
This is the Nairo stage if he does anything, right?
He has to, yeah. This is the best stage for him to win. Chavez looked good early in the Giro and is really tailed off. So maybe he hasn't. Maybe just he sucks in the TTs and actually he's fine. You know, like it's hard to know because we haven't had a serious stage yet. GC Benji, what do you think is the order?
Well, Pogacar is going to be first at the end of tomorrow, in my opinion.
No, like across the line tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think Pogacar is going to be the first to cross the line from the GC riders tomorrow.
Okay.
Let me get GC up for a second here. I trust O'Connor. I really do. So I expect O'Connor to be good.
Yeah, I do too.
I hope for the sake of the white jersey battle that Tiberi doesn't collapse tomorrow. The thing with Thomas Martinez, on paper, Thomas should be able to do this. On paper, Martinez should be able to do this at high altitude. He's Colombian, so Insta plus 200 watts. But there's something with all these riders where I have like a small question mark, if that makes sense. Like, I couldn't tell you what the order is going to be like there. We could see a different podium tomorrow.
Yeah, I actually don't know. I really don't have a good handle on it because we haven't seen him in a high mountain stage yet. So
if there's one stage where Baudin falls through, it should be this one.
Yep, should be. But I don't really. I would expect so. I think they use him all out for O'Connor. And I do think O'Connor will be on the podium tomorrow.
I think Ganna will drop.
Okay.
Because wasn't he the one that dropped on Prate di Tivo as well relatively early, and then he came back in GC due to Bocca della Selva getting top 10, maybe 8th or something on that stage from the breakaway?
I don't know. I did not follow Zanna GC top 10 bits so closely. But I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward to it. It's nothing like a 220k mountain stage, and the Giro's been really, really good up to so far.
Your pick was Hirt, right?
Yeah. Your pick was Storer.
Yeah, but can I last minute change?
You can change.
I gotta go for a Colombian on a stage like this, so I'm gonna go for Rubio.
Yeah, Rubio. If he got in the break, ooh. They need to get him in the break with Quintana, who won't pull for him, and some other guys, and he can win the stage.
Oh my god! Imagine if Quintana doesn't ride for him. He won't. He just won't. I don't need to imagine it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Around the traps, there's loads of junior U23 and other sort of racing going on. Yep. But in terms of professional racing, Rihanna Marcus won Veenendaal Classic women's yesterday. Tor Goedmestad won it ahead of Simon De Heers and Groeneweg today. Flat.
Ooh, I want to see that. How Dylan lost that.
Race. Who is Tord good Mestad when he's at
Was
home.
a Norwegian dude on X. You didn't see that coming, did you?
He looks like he's not bad.
I think I almost signed him 5 years ago or 4 years ago as a lead out on Pro Cycling Manager,
Really?
but then I signed someone else instead, and that rider disappeared from planet Earth, so I don't even remember his name.
Sam Bennett has won 3 stages at Cascajou de Dunkirk.
And Gossel! And the last one, the hilly one.
Yeah, so he's in good shape. So yeah, he's won 3 stages. It's a 6-day stage race, despite it being called 4 days of Dunkirk. I think they might want to rework that. And he won ahead of Paul Penway and Jenno Berkmoes, who is a neo-pro on Lotto Destiny and looks pretty good as a hilly, classicsy sort of rider. He's got some nice results.
Question. So we've spoken about the USA Nats ITT a few days ago.
Yep.
That's where McNulty got his Olympic ticket.
Quite literally, yep.
We spoke about Matteo Jorgensen having that from Paris or something.
Dwarsdorf,
whatever. Same race. And I was wondering throughout this entire discussion, what the fuck happened to Nelson Paulus?
What do you mean? He came third in the men's TT.
Yeah, but
you mean where was he all classic season?
Yeah. Oh, he crashed at Tirreno.
Did he?
He DNF'd Tirreno. He DNF'd Gran Camino. So I'm guessing he crashed.
I can't remember. But yeah, he's done 13 race days, and he did Strade. He didn't do opening weekend, and then he didn't do any of the Hill Classics or the Belgian Classics, really, where he's excellent. I mean, last year he got sent to them, and he top 5 Tour of Flanders on first time of asking.
Because Olympics, I'm thinking Paulus is one of the guys for US, like the road race.
And he came 7th in San Remo last year.
But also Worlds, he's always good, no?
Yeah, he's an elite long classics racer. Elite. But there must be something wrong.
He had a concussion, chat says.
Okay. That explains it then. So he was injured. Hopefully he comes back third at US Champs, but that's not going to be enough to... I don't know how many slots they have. But to be honest, if I was picking between Paulus... I mean, the race is in August. If I was picking between Paulus and Sheffield, I would pick Paulus for the road race. For the TT, obviously, Sheffield is better. And in the women's...
You might have to pick... I don't know how the rule set is, but it might be more cost effective to pick the same rider for both. So I think that might be in favor of Chef.
I don't know what the rules are. I stopped looking when Matteo qualifies. I don't care anymore. In the women's, was it Nib who won?
Yes, Taylor Nib.
Yeah. So she gets her Olympic ticket as well for the TT. Dygert surely must qualify in some way, you would hope. I mean, she can win
world
gold.
Champion ITT.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I remember Kirsten Faulkner, I think she sued or legally challenged USA Cycling about the Olympics qualification rules in 2021 from memory.
Okay.
So I assume they've reworked them. But yeah, Olympics, everyone wants to be at the Olympics. Any other races around the traps, Benji?
Well, I don't know if we went over the last two Burgos stages where Vollering won relatively easily on the uphill finish yesterday, and today Wibbes won the sprint. Haven't seen the sprint yet, but I'm fairly certain she won that comfortably over Caponi on this one. Like, by the way, did we speak about the Wout van Geluwe victory on the podcast yet? I don't think we did.
Wout van Geluwe. Yeah, he was in an échappée just ahead of in Cascajou de Dunkirk 2 days ago, maybe the day before, and the peloton was chasing. He then started celebrating like 25 meters despite Sam Bennett literally being in his slipstream about to sprint, and he wins by like a centimeter. And so Sam Bennett loses because of the jersey, I would say, like because he's in that the leader's jersey that's flapping everywhere.
I didn't know what was funnier, the fact that Wout van Geluwe started celebrating with like 30 meters to go. Which
what was he thinking?
I didn't know who was going to win at that point. Like, it was very unclear. He could not know whether he was safe or not. Like, there was a storming peloton literally in his wheel, and I don't know if that's funnier, the fact that he nearly lost his first pro victory because he celebrated from all the way back in Narnia, or Bennett crossing the line, losing, and still celebrating. You gotta claim it.
Well, because like just after they cross the line, Bennett sees that his wheel, like by the time bike throw down, look down, and then as he sees, looks down, Bennett will see that his wheel is like half a wheel ahead of Van Haleva. So he's like, I have it easy, but not at the pivotal moment. Yeah, Alaphilippe in November must give a course to the Neo Pros on like, this is how you celebrate. Quick step.
You must have learned by now.
I swear the Quick Step Neo Pros, they always win one race in their first year. They always win.
Yeah, but even GP Vermark doesn't count.
It does. It's on.
It's not UCI Lille, I think, as in UCI race.
But this was a pro race.
This was a pro race, correct?
And Lamperti won pro race,
correct? And Magnier won a pro race.
Yeah, Oman. He'll win.
Who's the guy? No offense to this man, but the guy that you would consider a Belgian NPC that moved from Quick Step to Alpecin. That worked in lead out at some point. No. He's not a Belgian NPC, nor did he move from Quick Step to Alpecin.
Martin Van der Poel.
No. The guy that did relatively well in Antwerp for Port Epic.
Oh, Van Keersbroek.
No.
He did go between those two teams, no? At one point. Guillaume Van Keersbroek.
At some point, come on, what's his fucking name? Alpecin. I have to look it up now.
Standard Tricht.
Yes. You won GP Vermark, right? Didn't he win a Kermis?
Dude, I don't give a fuck about that race. What? What is that?
Didn't he win like a Kermesse where he wasn't supposed to win and still won, and then they were happy with him?
Yeah, I remember. Actually, now you tell me, but that's not a pro race.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I say that your pro races are not pro races, even though they are pro races. But this really isn't a pro race. Wasn't it Tour of Leuven and Memorial Jeff Scherens?
Jeff Scherens Leuven's a good race.
Yeah, but was he supposed to let DeLee win, or is that not a fixed race?
That's literally a UCI race.
Okay, well, fuck, I don't know.
Like, that's on the level of driving koers overreizen. The GP Vermark one is an actual kermesse. That is like...
He won the Schwalbe TCM and TCJ Omloop van Valkenswaard. I think Luke might be the sponsor of that one in the Netherlands. Ahead of Martin Budding in these races. That's unbelievable, really. It's like... But yeah, he didn't win the pro race yet, so I guess that's why they didn't renew him. Alrighty.
Lamperti, has he won this year?
Lamperti, yeah, he dusted everyone in an Oman sprint that didn't get televised because of the bad weather.
He didn't.
Lamperti?
No.
I swear he won.
No. He got second behind Magnier.
Oh, he was second 3 times in Oman.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Finn beat him in that uphill thing. And then the Muscat Classic, Finn also attacked and he won the bunch sprint behind.
You just forgot about the existence of Finn in that and just said Lamperti won this. Hey.
I just remember the sprint, but Finn was ahead. Also, there was no television coverage of the second one, so not my fault. All right, that's all from us today. We're going to be really excited to bring you the coverage of the Big Mountain Stage tomorrow. Thanks to our show partner, Join Cycling, for their support. We'll see you with the Stage 15 recap tomorrow. Ciao.